When deciding on a telephoto lens to film weddings with, should we play it safe with the trustworthy 35-100 or shall we take a risk on a prime? Today's review is of the Olympus 75mm f1.8. Okay, so let's start by looking at ergonomics. The Panasonic 35-100 is already a very small and light lens. However, in comparison, the Olympus 75 is even smaller and it weighs 50 grams less. In terms of build quality, both have a strong and sturdy feel to them, and I know from the years of practice, they've taken the odd knock and bump without any damage at all. Okay, so now moving on to the big difference between these two lenses. One is a fixed focal length and the other one has a whole range of focal lengths that you can choose just by moving that zoom lens. If you're a naturally cautious person, you might prefer the Panasonic because you can go to any wedding, stand in the same spot, just move that zoom lens to get the exact framing that you're after. With the Olympus, you might need to move yourself a little bit close to the action or a little bit further away just to adapt and get the framing how you want it. If you did have a real worst case scenario where you were sent somewhere like the back of the church and told you couldn't come any closer at all, there are still ways to get closer in on the subject. If you're using a camera like myself on the Panasonic GH5, you can use the fantastic X-teleconverter function on the camera. It allows you to crop into the shot by 1.4 times on the sensor to get a punched in shot, and you still get that amazing 4K resolution. On top of that, if you wanted to get closer still, or if you're on a camera that doesn't have the X-tele function, you could still zoom in digitally on your shot if you're filming in 4K. Both lenses produce really nice sharp visuals. However, as you might expect, the Olympus prime lens does take the lead here. When you're trying to achieve a cinematic look with all the attention on your subject and really blurred out foreground and background elements, it's going to be much easier to do when shooting at a 1.8 aperture. The other area where you're going to see big gains with the Olympus lens is in terms of low light performance. You're going to be able to shoot with lower ISO levels, and you know that in your final footage you're going to have less grain and the results are going to be much more crisp and clean. In terms of bokeh, or the out of focus background blur, both lenses produce really nice results. However, the optics of the Olympus means that it does have the edge, and the backgrounds do look really creamy and they really help your subject to stand out. Another difference between the two lenses is weather sealing. It's present on the Panasonic and absent from the Olympus. Not a massive deal breaker, as most of the time you use this lens is indoors. However, it is something worth consideration. Another area where the Panasonic actually wins out over the Olympus is in terms of stabilization. The Panasonic lens has stabilization in lens, whereas the Olympus doesn't. It's not such a big deal these days because the IBIS is so good on most of the camera bodies that we're able to shoot on the GH5 with the long focal length of the Olympus lens and still get results that are really steady. However, it is something to take into consideration if you're using a camera body that doesn't have IBIS. So, in conclusion, what would I recommend to you, the Panasonic or the Olympus? Well, if you're a cautious person, I'd say go for the Panasonic lens. Having a zoom lens means that you can go to every wedding and stand in a set spot and adjust your zoom ring to get the perfect framing and composition that you're looking for. However, if you can adjust to using prime lenses, something I've done myself and I've found quite easy, you're going to get incredible results from the Olympus lens. You're going to get a shallower depth of field, you're going to get really cinematic shots, and at those weddings where things are really dark, you're going to be able to keep the ISO nice and low and get footage that is crisp, clean and just beautiful. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. You'll find links to both of the lenses I've spoke about in the description below. If you have any questions whatsoever, pop them in the comment section and I'll make sure they get answered. And make sure you subscribe to the channel because we've got loads of great content coming soon. See you next time.